We are looking at an absolute paradigm shift today in how we understand our own minds. Look, right now, you are probably putting something off, and literally everything you've ever been told about why you're doing it is completely wrong. Get this, 20% of adults are chronic procrastinators. Not lazy, not undisciplined, chronic. And the craziest part? I'm telling you right now, this has absolutely nothing to do with time management. So the crucial point is that we have to completely detach this behavior from the whole idea of laziness or, a lack of discipline. I want you to picture what this actually looks like in the real world. Someone's rewriting the exact same email for actually, let's be real, the fifth time, just to make it completely perfect. Someone else is suddenly intensely motivated to reorganize their entire desk instead of starting the report that's due tomorrow. And somewhere, right now, a student is opening Wikipedia to look up just one quick fact, only to surface an hour later deep inside a page about deep-sea squids. Now, here's a wild piece of data that totally flips the script. Researchers found that only a surprisingly small slice, just 22% of procrastination, is actually genetic. Which brings us to the ultimate question, and I really want you to challenge your own preconceived notions about your willpower right here. If this isn't deeply wired into your DNA, and if it's not just some inherent flaw in your personal discipline, what on earth is actually driving it? It's your emotions. Your brain is bargaining with your feelings. Procrastination is not a scheduling problem. It is a mood management problem in disguise. Okay, let's dive into this and see how we historically understood it. You might be familiar with this wildly popular three-character model of the mind. Picture your mind as these three characters fighting for the steering wheel. 1, you've got the rational decision maker who wants to do the sensible thing. 2, the instant gratification monkey who wants YouTube, snacks, literally anything but the task at hand. And 3, the panic monster who only wakes up when the deadline is breathing down your neck. It sounds funny, right? I mean, it makes logical sense. But here is where it gets a bit record scratch. This model, the one that made this idea so famous, coming from a TED Talk with over 78 million views, is actually being fundamentally challenged by newer science. And what researchers found instead is honestly a little unsettling. That whole monkey and monster story, it's completely incomplete. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. Back in 2013, psychologists Sorois and Peichel proposed a totally different framework. They said procrastination isn't about temptation or a failure of time management at all. It is entirely about mood repair. When a task feels unpleasant, whether it's boring, scary, or just overwhelming, your brain doesn't logically look at it and say, oh, I should start this. It looks at it and says, wow, this feels bad, fix the feeling right now. So your brain grabs whatever feels good immediately. Not because your brain is weak, but because it's trying to protect you. Right now, in this exact second. But there's a huge catch. Your future self pays the bill. Your current self gets immediate relief from that bad feeling. And your future self? Well, they get completely sold out. Think about this for a second. When did you last avoid a really hard text? A message you left unread for 3 straight days. It wasn't the physical act of typing that scared you. It was the feeling underneath it. It was the fear of the response. Your mind wasn't managing your time when it ignored that text. It was managing dread. Let's scale this way up. Up to 70% of college students self-identify as procrastinators. That is an enormous amount of people actively struggling with this emotional dread on a daily basis. And this is the part almost everyone completely misses, the real plot twist in the research. A massive 2025 study found something even stronger that predicts procrastination than just our raw emotions. It's this scientific concept, metacognition. Technically, this is how well you monitor your own plans and progress. In real-world terms, some people don't procrastinate just because they're overwhelmed by negative feelings. They procrastinate because they're genuinely bad at tracking their own goals. It's like walking through a dense forest without checking your compass. You don't even notice you've drifted way off course until it's far too late. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it totally breaks that old 3-character model we looked at earlier. The fight isn't always the monkey versus the rational decision maker. Sometimes there is no fight in your brain at all. Sometimes the rational decision maker is simply asleep at the wheel while you quietly drift away from your goal. And remember that panic monster from earlier? Yeah, let's dramatically burst that myth right now. The panic monster is not a quirky, helpful savior that flies in to magically rescue your project at the 11th hour. It is a massive, blaring warning sign. Because the real costs are incredibly dark. This 2025 research clearly links chronic procrastination to real, heavy consequences. Higher stress, poorer sleep, and in academic settings, researchers studied its direct link to serious, tangible mental health risks. This isn't just some quirky personality trait we can laugh off anymore. It's a destructive pattern with a very high cost. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but I'm not a student. I don't have a big thesis due. Why does this matter to me if I don't have hard deadlines? Well, I'm going to challenge you on that right now. Because there's a profound truth here. No all-nighter is going to save your health or your relationships. The tasks with no deadline, your physical health, your retirement finances, your marriage, they never trigger the panic monster. There's no midnight deadline for going to the gym. Which means the goals that matter the absolute most in your life are exactly the ones your brain is built to keep avoiding. So, what does this all mean? Here's the real, tense question we have to answer. If it's not about willpower, and trying harder is a scientifically proven failure, what does science actually recommend? What actually works? This is the payoff. You literally have to sit with the discomfort. Scientists rigorously tested this, and studies on emotion regulation training found something incredibly concrete. When people practiced reframing a task and sitting with the uncomfortable feeling it caused, instead of fleeing from it to magically fix their mood, their willingness to actually start the task went up significantly. It's the only proven fix. Let's move to and see how this builds into deeply actionable steps you can use today. 1. Notice the feeling. 2. Name it. Out loud, literally say, I am feeling dread about this email. 3. Start anyway, before the feeling passes. Not louder self-discipline, not stricter deadlines, just acknowledging the emotion and taking a small step forward. Listen, I really want you to internalize this next point. The next time you catch yourself reorganizing your entire desk instead of starting the report, remember this. You are not broken. You are not lazy. Your brain is just executing a primal protection script. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. Protect you from a bad feeling, right now, today. Which brings us to this incredibly empowering takeaway. The goal isn't to magically silence that instinct. It's to catch it before it makes the decision for you. It's about completely changing your relationship with guilt, recognizing the dread, and choosing to start anyway. But if your brain is quietly tricking you just to protect your mood, it makes you wonder, what other bias is quietly running your decisions right now, ever since you woke up this morning?